back, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another start to the week. Um, we are, as I mentioned last week, going to be focusing on grounding practices because we're coming into this fall season of a lot of turbulence and wind and disruptiveness and things of that nature. And so I'm excited to lead you down this path, and I hope that there's a sense of calming and settling in that you can feel from our practice together. So today we're going to get started in a seated position. So choose one that feels right for your body today. Could be Virasana or Sukhasana, whichever is going to work best. I'm going to sit cross-legged in easy seat, Sukhasana. And so if it's available, go ahead and allow your eyes to close, or if you prefer to keep them open, just have a soft downward gaze, about 3 to 4 feet out in front of your mat. And we're just gonna allow ourselves to come into some breath awareness for this beginning time together. And so we're stacking our spine nicely. Our spine is not straight, but oftentimes we imagine it being stacked one on top of each other like a block. It's more like Jenga because it does ebb and flow, and that's what gives us flexibility. And then if you would need some additional uplifting or energy to come into this practice, I invite you to turn your palms up as they rest on your knees or inner thighs. And then if the grounding theme is resonating with you, go ahead and turn your palms down. And maybe you allow them to rock back and forth across the top or the inner part of the thigh as you're inhaling and as you're exhaling. Just feeling that tactileness of your legs, the fabric underneath your hands or on the back side of your hands if you have that uplifted posture. And then I invite you to take notice of your inhales and your exhales. And just give your lips a bit of a lick. And then let's press them together. It doesn't have to be too soft, just to seal that space off as we really try to focus on inhaling and exhaling throughout our nose for the duration of the practice. And with every inhale, you might imagine your belly and the back body expanding as your spine grows a little taller. And with every exhale through the nose, you might imagine keeping that length, but allowing the hip and maybe the outer knee and thigh to ground down into the earth a bit more. With every inhale, as you lengthen through the spine, take notice of where the shoulders go. Do they come up? If they do, that's fine, but on your exhale, take notice and roll them back and down. And continuing with this awareness of our senses, just turn your thoughts to the points along your sits bones that are making contact with the earth. Feeling the earth coming up, supporting you, grounding. And then maybe if your hands are out alongside, wrapping maybe around your knees, you just give your knees a little bit of a massage. If your hands are facing up, it'll be on the back of your hands. And just make little circles with your hands on your knees. And then continue with that circular motion, adding just a little bit of pressure, starting to take the circles outwards. And then that motion might start to open throughout those inner groin muscles and the inner thigh. And the purpose of this kind of outward brushing is to encourage that downward motion, that grounding position, so that you can increase the area of the underside of the body to make contact with the earth. And then when you feel a steady state, you can go ahead and stop with the circling of your arms and just allow them to rest on the legs once again. That heat from underneath or on top of the palms, that tactile sensation. Mine feels a little bit like a tingling sensation that's still ongoing. And then let's take an inhale together through the nose for a count of 3, 2, 1. Holding the breath and releasing through the nose for 3, 2, 1. Once again, let's inhale through the nose for 3, 2, 1. Pausing at the top, exhaling for 3, 2, 1. Last time like this, inhale for 3, 2, 1. Pausing and exhaling for 3, 2, 1. If your eyes are closed, go ahead and keep them that way. Bringing our hands together at our chest, and then just feeling that breath below the hands, the expansion of the rib and the back body. And then if you'd like to join me on an inhale for Om, let's inhale together. Nice job releasing your hands down, starting to flicker your eyes open if they were closed, and then allowing your chin to come back parallel to the earth. If you were sitting in the Sukhasana position, go ahead and switch the crossing of your legs. If you're in Virasana, just go ahead and give yourself a little bit of a shimmy side to side to loosen up on the ankles here. And then we're going to get started with a seated cat-cow. So I want you to inhale as you tuck your chin, creating that C shape and expanding through the back body. And then as you exhale, you're jutting your chin and chest forward. And I'm holding on, allowing myself to have a little bit more leverage as I lean forward. And then on your next inhale, once again, you're tucking your chin, curling to make that back body expand and that C shape. And then as you exhale, you're bringing the chest and chin forward, creating the opposite sign in the back and front body. And then continue exploring this pose and how it matches with your breath today. Taking a couple breaths in each position if that feels good for you. And maybe you even start to do some circles. Stretching out the spine. Maybe you start to engage through the neck. The shoulders can come into this movement as well. And just appreciating the fact that you're able to move in the capacity that you can today, that you can even feel this body that we're living in. So many don't have that gift. And then let's take 2 more rounds of whatever motion feels good for you today. And then we'll meet in an upright position, stacking our spines. And then allow your hands to come down along the sides of your waist. And as you inhale, let's bring our hands up overhead, interlacing our fingers, but releasing our pointers. And then taking that movement side to side. You're imagining, rather than tilting over so much, you're lifting up, lengthening, grounding down through that hip, and then supporting yourself as you come over to the other side. I'm leaning to my left, so my left hand is down on the mat. My right hand is arcing and rainbowing up and over. Feeling that stretch from the tip of my right pinky all down through the arm into my armpit. And then I challenge you to inhale as you turn that right hand, taking it almost down to the earth. And then exhale as you lift, opening that same movement from cat and cow. Inhale as you take that right hand down, pinky is almost touching the earth, tilting in. And then exhale, opening to the sky. My palm is almost facing up. And continuing with that movement. Exhaling as I look up. And let's do that once more. And then once you're at the top, go ahead and stretch that hand back up and over, keeping that micro bend in that stabilizing arm that's touching the ground. And then inhale as you bring both hands up overhead, interlacing the fingers once again, taking that little side-by-side rock here. And then on your next exhale, let's go down to the other side. My right hand is on the mat and I'm stretching up, lengthening along the left side, grounding down with that left hip. And then rainbowing the left hand up and over. Continuing to connect with the breath. No interest in holding it. And I challenge you to make sure that you're breathing through your nose during our practice time today. And then we'll do the same thing that we did on the other side. So your palm is facing me. And now turn your palm so that the pinky is facing down towards the earth. And then on your inhale, you're gonna start to turn towards the right side. Pinky is almost touching the earth. And then exhale as you bring that hand, flipping it up and opening throughout the chest. Inhaling as you turn the palm, allowing it to almost touch the mat. And then exhale as you flip it, palm facing me and looking up, lifting. This bottom arm is also engaged in this practice. It's bending as we're looking down, pinky almost touching the earth. And then it's starting to straighten as we look up and lift throughout the chest. Let's do 2 more like that. And last one here, extending up. And then turn that palm back, allowing it to come up and over in that more traditional way in which we reach out to the side. And then on your next inhale, bringing both hands up overhead and then taking that little shimmy side to side. Nice job. And then releasing our hands down onto the earth. And then bringing our feet in, coming over onto one side so that we can allow ourselves to come into a tabletop position. Stacking our shoulders and our wrists, our hips and our knees. And just quickly, let's investigate the cat-cow in this form of gravity. So inhaling, my booty, chest, and chin are up, and then exhale as I send that C shape into the back of my body, pressing down into the earth with the shoelace part of my toes. And then once more like that, as we inhale, extending our chin, chest, and booty. And then exhale, tucking the chin and really pressing away from the earth here. And then sinking back, coming into a wide-legged child's pose. Allowing those hands to come out in front, the forehead to reach the mat. And our toes are touching, our knees are apart. And we're just connecting, feeling the sensation of the mat and the forehead, the mat and the hands. And then with every inhale, imagining that back body expanding. And with every exhale, imagine that your hips are sinking down into the inner arches, grounding down just a little bit more. Once again, inhale here, filling that back body with breath. And exhale, pressing into the earth with the hands to send the hips back onto the feet a little bit more. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and crawl yourself back into a tabletop position, untucking that right leg and starting to rock forward and back on that toe. Flipping the wrist as you see fit. Exercising and warming up the backs of the legs. And then hold that leg back, allowing it to straighten as much as possible for today. And then on the inhale, rocking forward, coming back onto the hand so they have a nice stable base. Spreading our fingers out and making sure we have a micro bend in our elbows. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and lift that back toe up. The leg is off the ground and the toes are facing the earth. And then on the next inhale, stabilize yourself, engaging throughout the booty. And on your exhale, go ahead and lower down to the earth as if your chin and chest are gonna touch. And then exhale, pressing the earth away. You can watch as I do this. My elbows are in, nice and tight. My chin and chest are down. Exhale as I press into the, and then last time like this, lowering down, chin, chest, elbows in. Exhale as I press back up and then lower that right leg down. We'll take it on the other side. So left leg comes back, you're up on the toes. And then maybe you stretch out the opposite wrist this time as you rock back and forth, allowing the back of the left leg to stretch out here. Once again, if by chance your lips have come unsealed and you're breathing through your mouth, just go ahead and give them a lick and slowly close them, channeling the breath through the nostrils. And then flip that wrist back around so it's in its right position, and then allow that left leg to stretch out back and down as we hold. And then on your inhale, rocking forward to stack the wrist, elbows, and shoulders, and then lift that back left leg. My toe is facing down, and adjust your hands, now that you know where we're going, into those push-ups. So your fingers are nice and spread out. And then on your inhale, lowering the chin and chest down, my leg goes up, and then exhale as I press back up. Inhale as I lower, making a little shelf on my ribs with my triceps. Exhale as I press back up. Once more, lowering down on the inhale. And then exhale as I press back up, releasing the foot down. And then once again, coming back, this time into a regular child's pose. So my knees are together. My hands are out in front. I'm walking them forward just a little bit. And then spreading out all 10 fingers. For me, I can feel that a little bit on the inside part of my armpit. Breathing here. And then bring your hands back alongside the body. Mine are resting on my heels. And I'm allowing my shoulders to spill out and over the outside of my thighs and my knees. And I'm spreading my back body. Often it's kept very tight in the shoulders and the top back part. But allowing myself to spread that out. And then you might take your hands and then just place them down right around the lower spine. And then you might make a little bit of circles here, just giving yourself a bit of a self-massage. Maybe it feels good to go up and down or in an opposite circular direction here. My forehead is making contact still with the earth as I'm giving myself this massage. And then allow your hands to just rest right about the point in which your waist is, the top of your hips. You might feel that hip joint and the top of the crest there. And then I'm going to have you point your toes as if they were going to come down and around, extending off the edge of your booty. My heels are nicely planted still within contact of my hips. And if you straighten your fingers out, you would imagine it would almost look like a diving board. If there's a little miniature you standing on the tops of your hands, it's a diving board. And then just allow your fingertips to wrap around on the booty. And this is just a little bit of a opening through both the chest and a grounding down through your hips. If someone was teaching this class and they were walking around, they might place their hands, on this part, allowing and encouraging the hips to connect with the earth. So we're just going to do that for ourselves. Breathing here. Two more breaths in this position. And last one. Nice job. On your inhale, go ahead and release your hands, and then pressing back into that tabletop position. I want you to tuck your toes, spread out your fingers, and then slowly raise your knees a little bit, maybe an inch up off the mat. You're hovering here, engaging with the abdominals. Don't make your lower back do all that work. Help them out. And then pressing up and back into our first downward facing dog. So making sure that you are pedaling out here, that you have a nice bend in your knees so that you can really press into the earth. Continuing to send breath into the backs of the legs. If you have tight hamstrings, I definitely do. Or for those that have tighter shoulders, sending breath into the tops of the back, into the shoulder joints here. And then let's pause here as we take 3 breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Once more like that. Inhaling and exhaling. And then in your next inhale, come up onto your tiptoes and then walk your hands up to the top of the mat. Have a nice bend in your knees, resting the ribs and the chest on the top of the thigh. You can see my hands are still making contact with the earth. And it's as if I would have a flat back in this position. And then slowly inhale, rising up, plant, coming into our chair pose. Breathing here. Inhaling, exhaling. And maybe if your shoulders are tight, you take your hands out to the side as if they were goalposts. Your chest is facing up, imagining it lifting to the sky. And then on your next inhale, pressing into the earth, standing up at the top of the mat in Tadasana. I'm gonna move the sky a little bit here. And then on our next inhale, let's bring our hands up overhead. And then exhale as we fold forward, bending our knees and coming into our forward fold. Inhale as we press, coming into a halfway lift, flat back. And then exhale as we place our hands on the mat, stepping that right foot back and then lowering the knee to the ground. If you have sensitive knees, you might want to place a blanket underneath them, but then untucking that back toe and then walking your hands up onto your knees. And then just rocking forward a bit so that you can start to feel that stretch across the top of the hamstring, as well as maybe inside the hip flexor. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, pressing into the earth with the left hand and then rocking back so that you're coming up into stretching out the back of the left leg. Inhaling and exhaling. And then on your next inhale, walking forward, bringing your hands up, coming back into that first position, stretching out throughout the front of the right leg. And then on the next inhale, pressing into the left leg and rocking back to flex that front foot and stretch out the back of the left leg. On your next inhale, walking forward, untucking that back toe and coming into our low lunge. And then inhale as you rise up into our high lunge, breathing here. And then on your next inhale, coming back down to the earth, planting that right hand, and then allowing the left hand to stretch up, coming into a bit of a twist. And you want to make sure that you're twisting from the thoracic or the middle part of your spine. You're not just cranking your neck and looking. So it's almost as if I'm working to bring the center of my rib cage up and out. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, bring that left hand down onto the earth, pressing into the earth with your hands and stepping that back foot forward, coming into another forward fold here. Making sure there's a nice bend in your knees, connecting with the earth. And then on the next inhale, rising up into our chair pose once again, engaging throughout those stabilizing lower muscles of the leg. And then on your next inhale, pressing up, coming to our stand Tadasana position. Breathing here. Take that on the other side. Inhale, bring our arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at our hips, bending our knees as we fold forward. And then inhale as we rise for a halfway lift, flat back. Exhale as we fold forward, and then stepping this time the left foot back, bringing the knee down to the earth and untucking that toe. On your inhale, walking your hands up onto that right leg, and then slowly start to lean forward, stretching out throughout the front of this left leg. Breathing here. And then on your next inhale, straightening that front leg, walking your hands down alongside, flexing that right foot, and then stretching out through the back of that left leg. Inhaling and exhaling. And then inhale as you come forward, and then walking your hands up onto the right knee once again, feeling that stretch of the front of the left leg. And then the next inhale, pressing to straighten that front leg, rocking, coming into a flexed right foot, and then stretching throughout the back of that right leg. On your next inhale, walking forward, planting the hands, untucking the back left toe, and rising up off of the knee, coming into our high lunge. And then on your next inhale, rising up into our high lunge. Taking notice if your shoulders have crept up. Nice that they can move that way, but let's bring them back down. And you might have your hands out at a goalpost if you need additional space in your shoulders. And then on the next inhale, bringing our left hand down to the inside of the foot, and then twisting to send that right arm up to the sky. We have our twisted side angle. Breathing here. Once again, imagine the strength and the stability that's built. We have 3 parts of contact with the earth. All 10 toes are spread, and our 5 lower fingers. And then on your next inhale, allow that right hand to come down to the earth, pressing into the mat and lifting that left foot, bringing it forward. Inhaling and exhaling in this forward fold. You might grab opposite elbows here, having a good bit of leverage and bend in the knees. Or you might wrap your hands behind your back, allowing them to lift up off of the shoulders and stretching out through the front of the chest. Whatever feels right for you today. And then if your hands are clasped behind your back, go ahead and lower them down, making contact with the earth. Bending your knees a lot so that your ribs are sitting right on top of your thighs. And then on your next inhale, rising up, coming once again to our chair pose. Chest is lifting, booty is grounding and coming back. And then inhale, pressing into the earth, straightening the legs and standing up. Breathing here. This time, let's take an inhale for our hands up overhead. Exhale as we hinge forward, bending our hips. Inhale as we lift to our halfway lift. And then exhale, planting our hands and then lowering down onto our knees, Once again, coming into that tabletop position here. Just allowing the breath and making a little bit more conscious movement downwards onto the earth. And then go ahead, sit back, stacking our spine in our Virasana pose. Our toes are touching. And you might close your eyes, or you might just allow them to linger down, breathing here. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and come back into our tabletop position, stretching that right leg out, stretching that left leg out, and coming into our high plank position. Engaging throughout the belly and sending the heels of our feet back behind us, nice and strong. And then slowly dropping our knees and then lowering down onto our bellies. Bringing our hands out in front so that there's a little pillow for our forehead to rest on. And then rocking our hips side to side. Just feeling how it feels to live in the body today. And then we're going to come into our Cobra, and then we're going to transition into Sphinx. So let's start in our Cobra, and we're going to place our hands right about the nipple line, tucking our elbows in, and imagining as if we're squeezing our shoulder blades together. On our inhale, let's press up into the earth. Our neck is looking down. Nose is lifted, and we're engaging through the core. And then slowly lower down, making that pillow for our forehead to rest on once again. Shaking out on the hips if that feels good for you. Let's take one more Cobra and then we'll transition into our Sphinx. So hands around the nipple line, elbows coming back. Inhale as we rise up to lift, engaging throughout the core, the back body, the booty, and pressing the shoelace part of the feet into the earth. And then lowering down, releasing. This next move is our Sphinx pose. It's a continuation of height in this grounded back bend. So you're going to place your hands out at a number 11 in front of you. My hands are spread out, fingers in front. And then we're just going to imagine as if our chest is opening on the inhale. And maybe you engage throughout the back body this time to pull the shoulders back. And then exhale, once again, as we lower down. We'll take this for one more time here. Let's set up. So our hands come to that number 11. Our belly is already lifted up off of the earth because I'm engaging here already. And then on our inhale, pressing into the earth, imagine if you're dragging the earth closer to you, bringing the belly forward, and then that will automatically help to lift the chest. And then lower down, coming into that point of rest. And from here, I'm going to have you stick that right hand out to a capital letter T. And then tent the left fingers as we slowly roll onto that right shoulder, stretching out here in our scorpion or reverse tabletop or reverse thread the needle. And just continuing to work and expanding that opening throughout the chest, but remaining grounded at the same time. Sending breath into any points where there needs a little bit of love, maybe some massage. And then on your next inhale, go ahead and slowly roll back, coming onto the belly. And bringing that right hand in. This time, taking the left hand out to the capital letter T. The right hand is tenting. And then as you inhale, you're rolling onto that left shoulder as you open in the kickstand position, stabilizing the body with the right hand and the right foot. And then just like we did on the other side, go ahead and take note of any positions and maybe differences that you found on this side compared to the other. And then intentionally and mindfully send your breath to those positions. On your next inhale, slowly roll back onto your belly, bringing that left hand in, and let's lower them down onto the earth. We're going to come into a locust pose. So my hands are facing downwards onto the earth. My toes are pointed. And I'm going to inhale as I lift at the same time, the top body, the bottom body, and the hands. I'm engaging throughout my belly and my back. And then lowering down, flipping my palms and allowing my cheek to rest on one side. If it feels good for you, you might rock back and forth. Again, massaging throughout the hips and the lower back. And then we'll come into another locust here. So I'm going to allow my forehead to rest on the mat, flipping my palms so they're facing the earth alongside my body. And my toes are also pointed and downwards to the earth. And then on my inhale, I'm going to lift up and lifting through my belly, engaging and allowing the top body, my shoulders to open up and out, and my toes to stretch back. And then lowering down once again, flipping the palms upside down so now they're facing the sky, and turning my cheek to the opposite side, rocking back and forth along the hips and the lower spine. And then bringing your hands back around the nipple line and then slowly pressing back up as we come into our tabletop position, pressing into our traditional child's pose. Breathing here. I don't know about you, but this feels really good on my lower back. I've been spending a lot more time sitting in the past couple weeks. And then on your inhale, walking your hands back towards your knees, slowly pressing up into our Virasana, and then scooting over to one side to allow your legs to come out in front of you. And give them a little bit of a bounce, shaking them out. And then we're going to bring the soles of our feet together to come into our cobbler's pose. So with my hands wrapped around the pinky toe side of my feet. And I inhale as I allow my spine to stack nice and tall. And then exhale as I bring my chin and chest forward until I can't hinge anymore. And then I drop my neck down in front. Breathing here. Once again, being mindful that your lips are sealed. If they've come apart, give them a little bit of a lick and seal them. And then just imagining the chest getting a little closer with every exhale to the earth. And then on your next inhale, slowly releasing the hands, bringing yourself back upright. And just resting here, allowing the blood to recirculate throughout the body. And then let's take that pose once again. So wrapping our hands around the pinky toe side edge. And then inhale as we stack and lengthen our spine. And then exhale as we hinge forward at our hips. And then eventually dropping our neck. Maybe this time you encourage the downward motion and the stretch of the inner groin and thighs. And so you can do that by just allowing the elbows to rest on the calf muscles. And it's not like you're forcing them down, but you're just preventing them from coming up. Once again, breathing into any points of resistance. And on your next inhale, slowly releasing, rolling back up, and then bringing your knees into your chest, lengthening that right leg out in front, keeping that left leg bent. And then allow the right or the left hand to kind of secure you by placing it behind. And then stepping the left foot over the right knee so that I'm almost in already a bit of a twist. My straightened right leg has a flexed foot. And then I inhale as I bring my hand up to the sky. I'm on tented fingers for my left. And then exhale as I take my right elbow. And maybe I'm able to take it out and around my left knee. If you can't, no problem. You can just grab it from the other side. And I'm working on twisting from the middle back. I'm not just looking behind me with my cervical spine on my neck. I'm twisting with every exhale from the rib cage and the chest. Lengthening. And then on the next inhale, you'll turn back towards the center. And then let's go over to that right side, taking a counter twist here. Breathing. And then coming back, placing both legs out in front, giving them a little bit of a bounce. And then this time, leaving the left leg straightened, bringing that right knee into our chest. And then that right hand back. And then taking that right foot out to the outside edge of the left foot. And then inhale as we bring our hand up overhead. And then exhale, bending through that right elbow as we take our twist over to the right side. Maybe your elbow comes behind your knee, or maybe you're just hugging your knee in towards your chest. twisting, lengthening, stacking the spine. And then with every exhale, encouraging that twist to just go a little further. On your next inhale, slowly release, coming back to center, and then allowing yourself to take a counter twist, opening that stretch out to the left side. And then inhaling as you come back to center, bringing both legs out in front, giving them a little bit of a bounce, and then scooting to the middle of the mat, and then slowly lowering down onto your elbows, coming into our final resting pose. You might bring your knees into your chest if that feels nice before we really settle in. Whatever else you feel could serve your body well. Maybe you make some circles on the ceiling. Maybe you take the knees out. Or maybe you come into a happy baby. So my hands are on the outside, pinky toe side of my feet. And I'm pressing down, opening throughout the hips and grounding into the back body. Breathing here. And then when you're ready, lowering down and finding yourself in Shavasana, our final resting pose for our class today. Allowing yourself to take up that space, opening the palms to the sky. Our feet come out. And just feeling how it feels. Let's take an inhale through the nose together. And then open the mouth, exhale. Let's do that once again. Inhaling. Open mouth, exhale. Rest here. Pardon. And start to slowly increase the depth of your breath. And then allow yourself to roll over onto the right side, taking a breath here as well. And then pressing down into the earth with that top left hand to slowly rise up, head, neck, shoulders, last to rise, and our spine is stacked, seating in a comfortable seated position. And then bringing our hands to our heart center. And maybe you have your eyes closed, or maybe they're out at a soft gaze in front. And if you'd like to join me on an inhale for Om, let's inhale together. Om. Bringing our knuckles up to that third eye space. And then maybe you bow down, sealing our time together. Rising up, thanking yourself for making time for your practice today. And I thank you for joining me. I will see you next time and have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, everyone.